ladies and gentlemen, this is the opening joke. This is Bad Lieutenant, starring Ava Mendes, a very fat Val Kilmer, and Nicolas Cage.
Look, man, you can't focus on the past of my work anymore. We have to focus on the now of my work, the right here and the right now. Between us, there's nothing. But between us and them, we have a lot going on. We need to be there for them and not for us. You know what I'm saying? Do you fucking understand that?
What?
Look, Matt, you were trained for emergencies like this. You and I were trained to keep people in order. These people in order. So what I need you to do right now is get out there and keep them in order. Something like the alphabet. It's not hard. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. How hard is that?
David, your point?
God.
Nick Cage has gotten better.
Thank you.
Not really.
We watched a movie today.
Left Behind.
The 2014 version.
You're actually pretty good. No, not really.
Fuck, man. Alright. This movie came out semi-recently, 2014. It stars,
a few months ago.
Stars Nicolas Cage. Based off the novel Left Behind, part of the series of Left Behind books. It's
We'll get to the quotes in a sec.
So should I give a plot?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. I don't remember most people's names. So
There's Raymond.
I thought it was Rayford.
Yeah. Just call him Ray.
Right. Alright, so
It's been a while.
There is a girl named Chloe
Yeah.
who's coming back home from school for her father's birthday. She runs into this handsome son of a bitch named Buck.
Buck Rogers, no.
Who is an investigative journalist and is also somewhat famous because he's on the TV. And they get to talking, but then her dad comes up and he's kind of been like flirting a little bit with this other woman, and you can tell that there's some distance between him and his wife, and his daughter's pulling him. It's like, why aren't you spending any time with mom? And he's like, don't worry about it, everything's fine. So then he gets into the air, and there's some more trouble brewing. He's actually having a fling with a flight attendant there named Hattie. Buck's on the plane as well. Chloe, however, is on the ground doing jack shit with her little brother named Raymond.
She's angsting.
No, not Raymond. Raimi.
Raimi.
Jesus Christ. I just realized how stupid this naming system was.
Yeah.
It's Ray and Ray. Anyway, so they go to the mall. They're having
Just
fun.
call him Ray Jr.
He's up in the air. They're flying a plane. Nothing's going wrong at all. And then all of a sudden, half the people are gone. Poof! Clothes left, sitting in their seats. Same thing on the ground. Everyone's gone, including all the kids.
This is instant.
Her little brother's gone. Mass hysteria is going on. Everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. This plane is trying to land, but it can't get through to anything because it's just total destruction down there. Throughout the course of the movie, people are putting forward, like, we have to figure out what's going on. So they put forward things like invisibility, and wormholes, and what was the last one?
Abduction.
Abduction, that was it. Because this weapon couldn't possibly have come from something on our planet, which he's pretty much the closest.
Yeah. His first assumption was actually the best.
So then, a bunch of different passengers all get their characterization, which doesn't matter at all. So then the whole thing wraps up as they're barely running on fumes, trying to get home, but all the runways are backed up and totally filled. So his daughter, who's been going through this crisis of, could it have been God? At a point they all come to the realization, yeah, it was the rapture. Is everyone cool with that?
Rapture.
You cool with that? It was rapture? Accepting it? Great. So then they move on with the rest of the movie. They clear off this stretch of road.
Even though really it is really the only three main characters that actually fully believe that it's the rapture.
It's whatever. So then they clear off this long stretch of road. Light some fires and explosions just because they need to. And land the plane.
Looks good in the trailer.
Everyone's home safe. But The world is left in ruins, so what could they possibly do from here?
You know what's really bad?
What's really bad?
This movie's been made before.
It has. 2000, starring Kirk Cameron and other people.
No, I'm talking about Nicolas Cage and a plane crashing. It's called Knowing.
Really? That's the one?
Remember it?
I was going to go for Con Air with
Oh
Saving
yeah, but no,
Plane.
I'm just talking about a ridiculously bad movie with supernatural aspects to it, with Nick Cage and a fucking crashing plane.
And pretty much The Rapture at that.
Now, tragically, that was done by Alex Perez, who I think is a fantastic director.
Anyway.
This dude.
I don't even know his name. What was his name?
I don't know. I know he did a Dolph Lundgren movie in 1994.
That was his last directorial of major significance.
He also did one episode of the Indiana Jones, kids movie or the show or whatever.
Come on.
Vic Armstrong.
Vic Armstrong. Cool. Anyway.
He's a stunt dude. He's an assistant director. He's been in a lot of shit. He's been around the block. I get that.
I want to talk about characters. I do not want to cover plot until last, because...
Ha!
Ooh, alright.
That is where we get to the eggshells, ladies and gentlemen.
So character-wise, you have, let's talk about Nick Cage's character. He is a pilot.
He's Nick Cage.
Who is cheating on his wife.
He's playing Nick Cage.
Who doesn't do anything.
He lands the plane.
Woo! However, there's 80 minutes in between there.
And you know what's really sad?
80.
This is a combination of the technical aspects of the movie as well as his performance. Never do I ever feel that A, Nicolas Cage is actually piloting that plane, or B, that he isn't at all tense about what is going on.
Now,
He's like, we might run out of fuel. We're running on fumes.
To be fair.
You have less care to the people in an airplane.
To be fair, I can fully understand because they have that whole training for emergencies.
But he was
keeping a cool head under pressure.
He's crying when he's talking to his daughter and shit like that. And the thing is...
Don't get me wrong. I feel like he definitely downplayed the significance of half your plane literally just disappeared. And he's just like, doesn't matter. We just gotta get home.
And to be fair, that's true. That's what he should have been doing, because he was the only person who'd be able to fly the plane. And that was obviously already before that they hit the other plane.
Right. I didn't mention that.
Mid-air collision.
They just hit another plane. They spend so much time like, please divert your course. Oh wait, there's no one piloting. Guess I gotta move then. God.
They spent so much time. It's like, divert your course. Divert your course, buddy boy. You can go up. You can go down.
I'm climbing 1,000 feet. That is 10. Well, shit.
Well, now we have a
flaming tail
there
of fire.
There is something on the wing. It's called fire.
So now, for the way of Nick Cage's performance, I feel like he was almost too real in a way. Now, don't get me wrong here. I feel like what he did was he looked at all of pilots and stuff like that, and if he were to actually prepare for this role, God only knows if he actually does.
I think he's got this weird style that he has his own name for of acting.
So if he did look at other things of actors or pilots and stuff getting into crashes or during emergencies, things like that, and he sees, all right, they keep a level head, they do that, they keep calm, great. I feel like there was almost too much of that. In the way that it just completely removed all tenseness from the situation. When you're in a movie, you want to see somebody react to something. For instance,
ow,
reaction.
That hurt.
Exactly. However, if it was Nick Cage doing
it, my ear.
If it was Nick Cage doing it, it'd just be, look, we're going to deal with that later. But right now, I need to get those people to safety.
Oh boy! All right, let's speak to the person he said that to, Hattie.
Hattie is his
she is
lover.
She is beautiful. She is blonde, and she is a blank slate.
Buxom was the last one in that.
No, not really and whatnot. I wouldn't say she's a buxom lady and whatnot. She's a very fit lady.
Yes.
And whatnot. Yes. And don't get me wrong, she's not a bad actress.
No.
But there's no character there. There's nothing. In the book.
I
I know. I stopped.
All right.
I stopped.
Just viewing it as a movie perspective, ignoring that a book even exists.
She's still a blank slate.
Yeah.
The most emotion she shows is when she realizes that Ray is married.
Yeah.
Not the fact that people just disappeared off the plane and whatnot, and there's no explanation for it. Like we're in the Langoliers or some shit.
She's like mildly hyperventilating when the people disappear. She's like, oh my god, what's going on? But when she's like
Jenny or whoever the other waitress was, whatnot, she went away too.
What?
And that's what began the whole, it's not about you.
Exactly.
Or about us. It's about them.
It's about them.
I'm like,
it's
guys.
And the problem being, though, that at the very end, at the very, very end of the movie, when they get off the plane, he turns to me, he's like, look, Hattie, I'm sorry.
I know.
That's it. That's all the resolution you get. Which, admittedly, maybe that you don't want to see them, get together in the end, considering how much of a douche Nick Cage's character is. But, whatever. I want to move on to the daughter.
Chloe.
Let me tell you Chloe's arc more specifically.
Acting-wise, the actual character-wise. Acting-wise, she's not bad.
I want to talk about her arc more specifically, because I talk
her
about the
character.
plane a lot.
The character itself, not necessarily the portrayal of it.
When she gets home, she's all pissed off that her dad left. Then she went over to her...
And she knew that he was cheating on his on her mom.
Pretty much. They saw that when they landed in London, they were going to see a U2 concert, even though, it's just for work.
And also that he said, I was called into work today, and he got the concert tickets 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And she also wrote that message on the inside of the envelope.
I didn't actually get to see what that said.
This is the saddest day of my life.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
God, that just amplified, honey. You had no idea.
So then she goes to her parents' house, and her mom is apparently the born-again Christian who is just always throwing Christ in their face. Every word out of her mouth is just, Christ, 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 Jesus. Does she ever shut up?
She never actually says it like
not a single
once.
word. She never talks about Jesus once.
And also... Chloe says there was this. She was getting talking to this crazy wacko in the mall. She never once said that the wacko lady in the airport and whatnot was a Christian.
No.
She just stopped. She's like, "Oh, Mom, I'm sorry." And then her mom was like, "Oh, so you're talking about born again Christian?
Okay.
Oh, now I can get offended. You gave her reason to be offended. Are you stupid?" You go into college, honey.
So then she got in the car and drove away with her.
Well, then again, Bush went to college.
Went to the mall. They were just playing around for a little while, and he's like, "Don't worry, little brother. I'll always love Pop." Oh, whatever.
All right, and then she spends the next 20 minutes looking for him, and I'm like, "All right, honey,
he was in your arms.
She was in your arms, literally." And you go to the hospital trying to find him and whatnot. I'm like, what part of physically being in your arms and then vanishing do you not grasp? Obviously, you're not grasping your brother anymore.
Oh,
so the fact of the matter is, though, you have to understand that some otherworldly force, and I'm not saying divine, I'm saying otherworldly force, has plucked your brother out of your hands.
All right.
His clothes was left there, his backpack and whatnot, and yet you were running around screaming for him. She wasn't even at first screaming for him, too. She's like, actually, she literally looked like she was tranquilized.
She kind of seemed in shock. She's like,
which is, to be honest, a very valid thing. Now, all right, one thing that really pissed me off, and you can go on after that, is the moment on Earth, when you're on the ground and whatnot, that all this happens. The moment it happens, people start raiding, looting and pillaging. I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's great.
Did anybody? No.
Here's what happened.
Human race is not automatically animalistic just because God left the picture.
Here's what literally happened. As far as I can tell, some people disappeared. It was a few moments, maybe. And then you see a shot of a bag that was dropped at the bottom of an escalator, supposedly by someone who...
And someone's just picking through it.
And someone just picks through it, gets up, walks away. And from that point on, it's Black Friday in America.
Oh yeah.
They're
I kept
killing.
saying that too.
They're killing.
It's like Black Friday, ladies and gentlemen. I worked at
exactly
Target.
like
I
it.
worked at Target on Black
I worked
Friday.
at Walmart.
Yeah, we've seen some shit.
Shit, man. Anyway.
Some people, man. Y'all people are animals.
The thing with Chloe's character after that, she walks around. She's just trying to figure out like what's going on. She sees sheer animalistic men and how terrible they can be. And she finally makes her way to the church once she's accepted that it could very well be God doing it. And she sees the pastor is still there. Pastor, what are you doing here? Well, I said the words and I knew the verses, but I never really believed in it. You hypocritic fuck! Walks away.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the top of bridge and attempts to commit suicide. But at that very moment, their phones reconnect and she talks to her dad. Moving on to another character. There's not real... That's Buck. Buck. Gotta talk about Buck.
He wasn't bad.
He is male model guy number 3. He is sexy on a stick. Pretty
He's
much.
not bad.
He's not bad at all, but to be fair, he doesn't have that much to do.
Because, well, it's also because of where we...
All he does...
There's not enough room for these characters to grow.
True. Overall, though, he's very much the most he does is flirt with Chloe and be the voice of reason among the passengers.
And even really, he doesn't really do all that much. We actually kind of forget the passengers, like, toward the end of the movie and whatnot.
Yeah, the passengers aren't a huge thing. It's during the beginning part, like, they're
banging on the door.
Oh, God. There are 4 main people who are just going to gloss over very quickly. There is a scientist guy who...
Of course, he's Asian and wears glasses.
Asian. He's like, this plane flight will be nothing in the future. Soon, we're going to have passenger jets that go Mach 40. And we can make the trip from New York to London in 6 minutes.
Well, should be seconds. That'd be like Mach 60.
I did research on this, and I just want to say it. The fastest unmanned vehicle in aircraft has reached Mach 20 in 2010. The fastest manned vehicle in aircraft, I forget the year exactly, but it hit Mach 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
It was like 5.4.
Yeah, so basically 5.
Mach 1 is the speed of sound, mind you.
4 below, let it go.
Mach 40 is, unless you're talking about rocket ships.
It's 39 times the speed of sound.
It's incomprehensible that humans, just regular passengers, are going to go within a few years. Asian man, stop that.
No, he did say, he's like, I don't believe it and whatnot. I think they're full of shit or something like that.
I don't know.
But then there was...
I was talking about greedy guy. Greedy, he doesn't come... Oh, actually, no, meth guy. Meth girls. No.
Well, I was going to actually talk about football player wife.
Really? How would you then count her? I didn't think she was important enough, but okay.
It's because of the gun.
Yeah.
That scene went on for a long time.
She had her daughter...
And I don't think that was in that fucking book either.
She had her daughter on the plane.
Yeah.
And her daughter went up because all kids are righteous in the eyes of God.
Even though I guess...
All kids are righteous!
This isn't the Catholic God, mind you.
All kids are righteous in the eyes of God, so she's like... She's like freaking out. She's like, how much did he pay you? Thinking that her husband staged this whole flight just to get his daughter back from this crazy woman.
They landed while she was asleep. Someone put something in her drink.
I say quotes because she says they think she's crazy, but I'm willing to take away the quotes because she's crazy.
Yeah. Now,
at one point when she's saying this, how much did they pay you? I was like, what in the hell are you talking about,
She
lady?
reaches down. Apparently, air marshal and whatnot, which we find out later how the gun got there, which actually was a decent reveal for why the gun was there.
They reached out, got a gun, just started aiming it at everyone.
It's like, what do they pay you? Where is she? I'm like, all right, I want to say one thing. I really, even though, a lot of the people in this, and a lot of the smaller characters are really irrational how they go about these things, I get that. Believe me, I get that, because at the same time, if someone just all of a sudden just disappeared and whatnot, their clothes and all that shit was left there, I would be kind of freaking out too. But at the same time, though, the rationale that these people have is insane. There's this one woman who lost her 6-month-old
Oh
baby.
my God.
And she's like going ballistic saying, we have to turn the plane around. I was like, we didn't turn the plane around. I was like, no, we have to go back where everyone disappeared. I need my baby back. I'm like, all right, what? What gave you the possible idea that was a realistic way of getting your child back?
But we are willing to say, to some extent, that we can understand that.
Yeah, I did give it a pass.
We can't possibly understand the mental image of having your baby in your arms.
But the funny thing is that the moment that all of this shit happened, they started trying to storm the cabin.
Yeah.
And like, we're here to see the pilot. What the fuck is the pilot gonna do? Your children and friends and shit like that just vanished in front of you. What do you think the pilot can do about it?
Alright. Just
I love actually how Nick Cage started decompressing the cabin and turned on the oxygen to get them to sit the fuck down.
It worked.
And it did work, but I'm like, that... I want to know how many pilots actually was like, alright, these people get rowdy, decompress the butt. Just like...
Don't even turn on the oxygen.
I have my oxygen. Fuck all y'all. We're just going to be scraping bodies off of this when we get there.
There are a few characters, and because of time, we're just going to skip over them, not talk about them that much. There's a Muslim guy who didn't get picked up because of his faith being wrong.
Remember, this is a Christian book series.
He is like the most morally
He's the nicest person on the plane.
Exactly. And he just, sorry, wrong religion, gone. It's like, dude.
He was like, I think we should pray.
Dude.
Like, I think we need
Which
to be
brings
calm.
up the next character we need to talk about.
The
dwarf.
The dwarf.
Who
I don't remember his name.
You will know him as the dwarf in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
He's a fine actor.
He's a good actor. I like him.
But his character.
His character is a cunt.
He is the cuntiest cunt. Dear God, I hate this man.
Alright, do you know, I want to say, stop one thing and you can keep going. I made this comparison with David, and actually, the thing is, we went to Benji's one night, and we saw The Odd Life of Timothy Green. And the one idea that we had while watching the movie... Right? Yeah, I did do the review. But unfortunately, he was not in the review to help share the thing with
around here.
But at the same time, though, they're just a movie full of cunts. Just assholey people. The Muslim guy on the plane is literally the only person I was rooting for.
I got one more, but continue.
That's true. And also, like, there's also a handful of story arcs that started or faltered and stopped and went nowhere. But majority of these people were fucking stupid.
Now, the dwarf, in his particular case, he is so against this Muslim dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right off the bat before
he's like combative the moment this guy starts talking.
The dwarf is trying to put some bag in top of the overhead case. It is quite obvious he cannot reach.
Yeah.
So the Muslim gets up and says, "Excuse me, would you like some help putting your bag up there?" He's like, "Did I ask for help?" "No, but I can put it." "Sit the fuck down."
He's like, no, he didn't say that. He's like, "I can help put you up there." He's like, "Yeah, so can I." And then he just puts it back down and shuts the thing. I'm like,
yeah. It's like, excuse me.
Like,
I understand that going through life as a dwarf.
That was my personal opinion of that scene, of that bit and whatnot, was because it was written by somebody who was not a dwarf.
Possible, and I don't know. Maybe it is. I can
just the arrogant on the spot, like, and I don't deny that there's obviously. I mean, I'm 6 foot and whatnot. I don't know, obviously, but at the same time, though, I don't doubt that there is some animosity that some dwarves might have to regularly sized people and all that stuff. But I don't know that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that from a writing point of view, this looks extraordinarily cliched. All right, keep going.
Then there's a girl who is on meth and she's drugged up the whole time, and apparently she has a relation to some greedy guy, some businessman on a plane.
Yeah.
She's not really that characterized, so I'm not going to really talk about her all that much, because all she does in the very end is she reveals that, hey guys, it might be the rapture. Just saying, it might be the rapture.
She did think that she was just having a bad experience on drugs, and she went in and got a little doped up more. I think it looked like meth, to be honest, but then again, she had track marks, so it was heroin.
And then the last character that I want to talk about is this...
And I don't remember that from the book.
Sweet little old lady. This sweet little old lady.
We're home! We're home!
We're not home.
Oh, we're so home.
It's like, oh, my husband gets confused sometimes. She's senile. She doesn't entirely know what's going on around her.
She kind of reminds me of the mother in the room.
Yeah, except not nearly as snappy.
No, not snappy
She's
and whatnot.
quiet for majority of it.
She's quiet, but at the same time, though, she doesn't have any ill intentions.
And
let me rephrase. It's actually really the mother from Birdemic.
Yeah,
and whatnot. That's the better one. The one from the room was still had kind of a snap to it.
This sweet little old lady, when the plane is literally crashing down on the runway, they are making a descent, they can't pull up, and they are not even on a runway, they're on a closed road with like traffic cones and everything that could easily just break the plane. The Muslim guy comes up, he sits next to the old lady, he's like, do you mind if I sit next to you? Well, let me sit here until your husband gets back from the bathroom. Knowing that she's senile, giving her just that little bit of hope.
Why was he left behind?
Dear God, he is like the most moral man on this entire plane.
On the plane. Why can't I want to have a movie about him? I don't care about the three main characters. But there's why did you? I think. All right. To be honest, actually, one of the reasons why I think it was set up this way. Again, we haven't gotten to the plot. We have to get to that in a second. But I haven't read the book series in a while. I've read up to the 5th book, Apollyon. And
I
that's
have
where I
read
stopped.
none of them.
Yeah, that's where I stopped. But at the same time, it's been years since I've read it. I only have an idea of really what goes on. But at the same time, though, I don't believe that Muslim character was in the book. I think it was put in the book. I mean, put in the movie to give it more of a broad demographic.
And even...
But, at the same time, though, you're still saying that this really nice moral person is still left behind. Just because he's not Christian. That's a dick move, I'm just saying.
To be fair, though, this movie didn't make a huge point in saying that...
No, it was not nearly as preachy as the book or B, the original Kirk Cameron movie.
If anything, this movie didn't have a lot of moments where it was just like, look, God has his ways. A lot of this movie was spent, and it didn't really get resolved, but a lot of this movie was spent saying, why in the world would God do this?
Yeah.
It doesn't play God up as a good character in almost any respect.
Except for when they all say is like, where is X, Y, and Z? They're in heaven.
Yeah, which even that's not even a
No.
particularly good thing. It's just saying, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Event.
Yeah, we're all fucked, but hey, they're okay.
So it almost strikes me as almost a thing of like, look, how, like the filmmaker's saying, like, look how much bullshit this is, that even this entirely moral man is kept out strictly because he didn't believe in the right
version
thing.
of the same thing.
That it almost strikes me as
Dude,
sort of like
1/3 of the Earth's population is Muslim. 1/3 of 7 billion people.
We're not saying numbers make you right, but
at the same time, well, I will say one thing. At least the Quran has a publication date and one author. Just saying.
All right. Bye, subscribers. Moving on.
No, I'm not saying one way or another.
I got you.
I have a Quran. It's over there.
We should get in the plot.
The plot.
Now, the plot of the movie itself, I've already given. That's not a thing. That's not necessary to go over again. What we need to talk about is the fact that this is an adaptation of a book. A book that is, as of Google Books, 475 pages long. And it has been adapted before into a movie called Left Behind as well.
Starring Kirk
Cameron.
When he was still going, God.
So, it can be done. It has been done. So why did they decide that this movie, this 2014 movie adaptation, took this whole book, whole 475 pages, and only focused on the first
43 pages.
I'm not kidding. We
looked this shit up.
They get off the plane on page 43.
You wasted 90 minutes of time on 43 pages. I could read that shit in less than an afternoon. That literally takes me a couple hours to read. Actually, no. It takes me an hour to read if I'm just kicking through it.
Now, to be entirely fair, some scenes that they used in the movie are chosen from later in the book.
And they're readapted and whatnot. I get that.
But so much.
But still, and then the funny thing is, even before because I knew that the book really didn't end there, but at the same time, before we reacquainted ourselves with it, when they got off the plane, I'm like, I told David, I'm like, this should have been happening at the halfway point at least, like at the absolute most and whatnot. I was like, this should not be happening at the end of 90 minutes. None of the all right. We spent so much time with the characters on the plane. None of the characters are in the rest of the story.
No,
none of them.
No.
Hattie's in there a little bit longer.
Hattie,
Chloe, Ray, Buck. Hattie, Chloe, Ray, Buck.
That's the tribulation.
And the funny thing, it's not even Hattie. Hattie's not even part of the tribulation force. It's just the three. Because it's Chloe, Buck, and Ray, and those are the three main characters for the entire rest of the book series.
Like the one scene when they go and see the pastor. That happens later on in the book. Except that's Ray, first off, is the one doing it.
Ray's the one who goes around and tries to find out all this stuff. And he's the one that comes up with this idea. Yeah, not simultaneously. These people didn't come up with all this shit simultaneously.
We're just all around. Keep in mind, all of this is like, what was it, 7 hours? Because they got about halfway through their flight and then had to make it back.
It was about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, then. I don't know. I think it was a bit longer than that because they started.
You guys came to the realization that God did everything and whatnot within the span of 7 hours? In the book, it took them a lot longer than it. It took them a couple days at least.
And here's the thing: that's not a.
And the funny thing is, though, Ray is the guy who's the one who was actually the person who is promoting the fact that it could be God, and he's the one who does it in the first place.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the movie, he's like the last guy to come to this realization.
He's like, wait a minute. Her schedule says Bible study. And
Jesus!
He was wearing a cross necklace.
Start playing Kanye Walks. Jesus
that
walks.
Must mean
God.
No, that must mean it's Ragnarok.
It's Ragnarok. Totally Ragnarok.
Yeah.
We're the Vikings.
Fenrir is coming down. And he will devour the world.
The Leviathan shall rage from the ocean. It's like Sleipnir. It's Sleipnir in Norse mythology. It's Sleipnir is the horse. Not bad. But
so overall, I just can't understand that. I can't understand
Jormungand.
Why? Shut up.
I'm just trying. I know Norse mythology. It makes me. I'm annoyed if I don't get it right.
I just don't understand why they have 16 books to choose from. This series wrapped up after 16 novels in 2007.
1995 to 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know about the first year, but yes, on 2007.
It's spanned 2 decades.
16 novels. Even if you didn't expect this movie to do well, let's be honest here. Not a lot of people really would.
It was a $16 million movie that barely made 10 back in theaters.
But even if you
that's worldwide
did expect this to do well, why would you only focus
on the first?
Tell them about that metaphor you came up with. The analogy to Harry Potter.
Oh, okay. So this was a good. I thought I had a little moment of clarity here. The thing is, if you took the same setup here as you would the first Harry Potter book, the movie would have ended the moment Harry got his first letter from Hogwarts.
Just imagine that.
No. Not even all the letters that constantly kept coming. The first letter that dropped into his mailbox.
The entire first movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, would literally just be about a little boy with
getting
a scar.
Abused by his parents.
Abused by his uncle and aunt. Having to live underneath the stairs. Eventually, in the last 20 minutes, he starts to talk to a snake, and the snake gets out. And then it ends with a shot of the letter. That is the entirety of the first Harry Potter movie if they follow this guideline.
Still a better story than Twilight. I had to take a pot shot in there somewhere.
I don't understand why. Why? Out of all of it, you have maybe they thought it was too dense, the whole story.
Hey, they did it before.
They did it before. Maybe they thought it was a bit too rushed, or they didn't want to do the carbon copy.
You know, the funny thing is, all right, a bit of trivia here and whatnot. The writers of this series actually were on set for the making of this movie. One of the writers gave consultation. Another writer was like a cameo appearance, and they ended up getting an advanced screening to this movie. And they said that this was literally the most realistic movie about the rapture that they have ever heard. Now, one, they're saying this about an adaptation of their own book. Of course they're going to be whacking themselves off. But the thing is, I really want to say one thing. If they're thinking about the rapture itself, just the moment where everyone goes up to heaven, then yeah, this movie was entirely focused on that.
Yeah, good job.
Why did you call it Left Behind?
It wasn't focused on the people who were left
You
behind.
could have renamed any of these characters and have it not be a Left Behind adaptation.
To be fair, people would be drawing parallels, but I see
Oh
what you
yeah,
mean.
but at the same time though, there was no need to do that because you spent so little of the actual Left Behind book. And unlike the Kirk Hammett series, this series pretty much killed it in its first installment.
Yeah, how many movies in the Kirk Hammett series were there?
Three.
Three?
Because at the time, I'm guessing when they when they came out with the books, they were only up to the third book.
Well, no, even then, those books were monumentally popular.
They were all bestsellers.
So I guarantee you,
I only got to the fifth book, guys. That's where I stopped.
I guarantee you that the book sales are what funded the movie, which made me question what made them think that they could fund this one.
This book series ended in 2007. That means this book series had not been relevant for over 7 years. Most people, I guess even in the Christian community and whatnot, will be like, why?
They only have
What's
the
the
attention
point?
span for one book over 2,000 years old.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
right.
basically. But the thing is, like, I'm boggled by this because this is again in a long series of movies that obviously nobody cares to see. It's like Paul Blart 2. Like, nobody needs to see this. No one asked for it. No one asked for it. Like, seriously. Like the Divergent movies. But at the same time, like, now, is this movie the funny thing is is this movie better than Heaven is for Real or God's Not Dead?
Yeah, we had a little
We diverged a little bit
there. Honestly, I never saw those two films, so I can't say.
I've seen both.
You've seen both, so I'll leave that up to you.
Heaven is for Real.
No. Hold on, let's do it on two different guidelines.
All right.
Storyline-wise, ignoring any sort of Christian undertone.
Yes.
Which one's best?
Out of all of them,
Mm-hmm.
ignoring all religious undertones.
Which I know is tough for God's Not Dead, but try.
Well, God's Not Dead is the worst of the three, absolutely. It's a close contest between Left Behind and Heaven is for Real. But I'm going to go, actually, with Left Behind actually being the better of the three, because in Heaven is for Real, the little kid is just a smartass.
Now, in the other guideline, which one is the best Christian film? The best one that promotes Christian values and you think would be a good recruiting video for the Christian fan?
A good one that has closer to Christian values than any of them and whatnot would actually be Heaven is for Real. Mainly also because it doesn't show people who don't believe in the story or in the Bible and whatnot as evil as God is Not Dead does. Because if you've seen that movie, holy shit, does it insult your intelligence. Even if you're a Christian, and that movie is like, what the fuck? And that company's coming out with a new movie. Go check it out and write some bad reviews.
So after some other reviews,
Yeah.
back to this one.
So
I just want to real quick wrap up.
Yeah.
A couple things worth mentioning. CGI is used occasionally in this.
So
Very
bad.
sparsely, but no.
You had a $60 million budget you couldn't afford. Hire Freddie Wong. He would have done a better job.
We cannot sell him more on this.
I can't help it because his work is phenomenal. Like him and his team are phenomenal. Like, you could have hired them for a fraction of the price that you get from an actual production company.
The lines delivered, not talking about acting wise, they were all very stilted.
Yeah.
Like
The writing's very
we
poor.
were predicting lines.
Several times.
We simultaneously said the same thing, and then not a second later, the exact line that we said popped up on screen. It was ridiculous. Cinematography, not too bad, not great either. There were a few shots in there that were like, oh, well, that's interesting. But
yeah, but nothing pushing boundary. It was
No.
standard. It was stock standard. It's stuff that you would see. Actually, was it Brad Jones? We saw the midnight release review he did for Heaven is for Real, and one of the things that he said about that movie, I think actually applies to this one, is that this movie feels like a made-for-TV film
Mm-hmm.
that got thrown into theaters.
Like, literally, you can just imagine, right? Where's it here? The Hallmark logo. Just the whole time. The whole time. I guarantee you, one day it will be put on TV. And you will see the Hallmark logo. The whole time.
You know what's really actually interesting? There's a movie called Heaven's Fire. I'm not making this up and whatnot. And it's a made-for-TV film. And it reminds me a lot of this because it's a lot of poor CGI and a lot of stupid plots. So, but unless I'm thinking of a movie completely different, or it might be Heaven's Inferno or something.
I don't know.
Either way.
Whatever. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts for me and whatnot. This movie is more forgettable than the original film. And even far more forgettable than the book because it doesn't do anything in the book. But overall, like, it's just a basic movie. Like, and also, like, I'm not saying much when it comes down because it's just this movie obviously was just like the book series trying to preach a message. It was a lot lighter on the preaching than it was in the book or in the Kirk Cameron movie. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, it didn't allow for any alternative perspectives. True. That was my problem with the last thing I'll say is that the fundamental problem with this movie is the fundamental problem with the book series. It's the way that it's written. It is not done to explore the possibilities of what could happen after the rapture. It follows everything to Scripture to a point of absurdity. To a point where that's one of the reasons why I stopped at Apollyon, because I'm literally like, you're getting to a point where trying to adhere to Scripture as much as you can is costing all of your characters having any sort of, what's the word? Brains. Seriously, guys, you had a great idea and you fucked it up yourself. And yet, at the same time, though, people, just like 50 Shades of Grey, gobbled this shit up. Regardless of how bad the writing might happen to be, if it meets something that they want out of the book, they'll get it.
I'm curious what the demographic overlap with 50 Shades of Grey and Left Behind is.
I bet there's a porn crossover between the two. There's always a Rule 32 for everything.
34.
34, whatever. One way or another, there's a goddamn number involved.
Here's my final thoughts. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I know we're going over a little bit. There is a great rapture story. It's a great rapture story. And it follows the Left Behind books so closely. So, like, when I was reading through the synopsis just to get myself acquainted with it, I was amazed at how many points were hit. Like, perfectly. It's not Left Behind. It's not either of the movies. It is the American Dad Christmas special. I forget which year exactly, but it has the Rapture and the Antichrist returning. Now, admittedly, towards the end, it goes more like Road Warrior sort of stuff, but the entire beginning part is exactly beat for beat Left Behind. I'm not even kidding.
They probably did that on purpose, too.
And it is so much closer than this movie was even mildly attempting.
And they had, 20 minutes to work with?
I think it might have been a longer episode.
Yeah, because usually the specials are, but
even
still.
then, it's like a fraction of the movie's time. And they didn't even have the rights for that story, and they still got it closer.
Yeah.
The fuck, movie makers? That's not... Point being, I would highly suggest watching that compared to watching this. Because that at least has a setup, humor, conflict, resolution. This has none of that.
This has plain land stand.
It doesn't have conflicts. That's all I gotta say. That was Left Behind.
I am Nikolai Carpathia! Nikolai, your Russian sucks.
Also, who?
Fuck you! I am the Antichrist, the main antagonist of the Left Behind series. Well, the series, yes. What are you talking about?
Well, in the movie we saw, your part was kind of trimmed.
What? So they didn't show me getting into the United Nations? No, just a little bit before that. Well, they at least announced me as a cliffhanger, right?
Little boy.
So, where did they leave off at? They got off the plane. That was in the 3rd chapter!
Chapter 4, actually, but you get the point.
So you are telling me that they cut out me, the Antichrist,
for more Nicolas fucking Cage!
That is exactly what we're saying, yes.
Right.
Ah, this is the most revolting thing I have ever heard. The most disgusting thing that could ever happen in the world. I am writing a strongly worded letter.
To who?
God!
Apparently even the Antichrist has some limits.
Neat.
All the bad boys want some more, it's tricky.